Mercantilism, commerce, profitable trade. Revolutionized by Europeans in the 16th century, changing the world of trade. Mercantilism, merely meaning the belief in benefits of profitable trading and commercialism, combined with American capitalism, creates an economic powerhouse, constantly improving to better fit the consumer's needs and become more appealing to the everyday reliance.
It all began in shipping. Freight traveled across America on its vast systems of rivers and canals. These waterways made excellent trade routes for goods of all types. Farmers delivered their harvest to market. Coal was transported around the country, all on the steamship, a prominent form of transportation in late 1800s America. The locomotive was superior to the steamship in most respects, though, moving across the land at speeds never met by any horse-drawn carriage. Rocketing freight from town to town, the train could both reach more places and carry more cargo. The train was responsible for the transport of many raw materials across the country, dispersing materials like coal, crops, and many other items on a network of rails. Small-scale grocery stores started popping up in the early 20th century. The stores tended to be small, less than 1,000 square feet, and focused on one aspect of food retailing. Grocers sold what is known as dry grocery items, like canned goods and non-perishable items. You could not buy produce or meat at any grocery stores. Butchers and produce vendors, also known as green grocers, were completely separate. Most of the time, the butchers and greengrocers clustered together for convenience. A produce vendor, better known at the time as a greengrocer, is someone who sells fruits and vegetables. Usually one person owned and worked the stand. The stands were usually placed adjacent to the main route or highway. The produce they sold was often seasonal or harvest-based, meaning they sold what they harvested at the time. Produce stands became less popular in the early 1940s. Butcher shops and produce vendors would usually stick close to each other. A greengrocer would set up outside a butcher shop because it was more convenient for the shoppers. The shops would usually have meat hanging or in an ice safe to keep bacteria away. The shops had to be spotless to prevent disease from spreading. Fresh sawdust would have been put down every day to soak up the blood and spills. The sawdust prevented E. coli and other bacteria from spreading. The walls were usually tiled and had an image on them. They had whole animal carcasses hanging around the store, and when you went in, you told the butcher what meat you wanted. Then he would take down a carcass, cut off the piece of meat, and wrap it up. They became less popular in the late 1950s. The Piggly Wiggly was established in 1916 by Clarence Saunders. These stores are widely credited with introducing self-service shopping to America. It is believed that many other stores across America were also practicing this idea. Self-service stores became known as groceterias because they reminded people of the cafeteria-style eateries that were becoming very popular at the time. By the 1920s, self-service stores developed into chain stores. Some of the first chain stores were Kroger, American Stores, and National Tea. A&P, or the Great Atlantic and Pacific Tea Company, became known as one of the first chain stores to stretch from the Atlantic to the Pacific, with over 10,000 stores. Many chain stores still did not offer meat or produce and usually had only 2 or 3 employees working the cash register. One company that thrived off of marketing strategies just like Piggly Wiggly was the Kroger Company. Founded by Bernard Kroger in 1886, the company began to take off around 1930. Kroger is a classic example of a chain retailer. Kroger began in Cincinnati, Ohio. Since it has spread all around the country. Chain stores were at an advantage over single, family-owned stores. Chain stores were able to sell items at lower prices simply because of their large size. Purchasing items in large quantities proved very prosperous for the company. This put many family-owned stores out of business. Money, the people's means of purchasing goods from any market, anywhere. One US dollar back then was equivalent to $28.95 today, making most common goods listed under $1. As far as the general store is concerned, a 5-pound bag of flour or sugar would go for about 33 cents. A pound of coffee went for around 50 cents. At the butcher, by the pound, bacon was 52 cents. Chicken was 39. Department stores came out in the late 1800s, but it wasn't until the early 1900s that they became popular. One of the most famous department stores to open was Saks Fifth Avenue in New York in 1924. Some of the biggest department stores today, such as Sears, Macy's, Neiman Marcus, and Gimbel's, opened in the late 1800s. Department stores paved the way for chain stores and discount stores. Macy's opened in 1878. It was known for its wide variety of stock and reasonable prices. It wasn't until 1924 that Macy's held its first holiday parade. By the end of the 1920s, Macy's was the largest department store in the country. Marshall Field and Company was founded by Marshall Field in 1881. By the late 1880s, annual sales were about 30 million, and the store employed about 3,000 employees. When Field died in 1906, one of the managers, John Shedd of the store, took over and became the new president. The company soon had over 12,000 employees and annual retail sales of 25 million. The store was ranked as one of the largest retail establishments in the world. Under the leadership of Shedd and his successor, James Simpson, the company expanded beyond Chicago in the 1920s. They bought textiles in the United States and Asia, and when Simpson took over, he opened 4 more stores in 1923. Today, you can still find these stores all over the United States.